Hi, my name is Smeaton and I'm a Professor of Computing here in Dublin City University, and I'm a long-standing developer and an advocate for the use of artificial intelligence in how we do our teaching and our learning. Over the years, I've tried to be an early adopter of whatever was the learning technology at the time, from streaming recorded audio and visual content of course material, to applying artificial intelligence to students' digital footprints in order to help inform them of their likely module outcome, whether they're likely to pass or fail. And I was even delivering lectures on Gathertown during those horrible days of COVID lockdowns. Today, of course, that leading technology is generative AI. And I'd like to share some of the insights into how I have used generative AI productively in my teaching. CA 259 is an undergraduate course on data analytics and visualization, and it's designed for second and for final year business and marketing students. Now, it covers a range of topics such as statistics, linear regression, data imputation techniques, data visualization, as well as hands-on assignments in labs. The course duration is 12 weeks with supporting lab sessions and a teaching assistant, and all of the materials are naturally available on DCU's virtual learning environment, which is Loop. Now, to enhance the learning experience, I fine-tuned and prompt engineered a large language foundation model, which happened to be GPT-4. And I fine-tuned it with all of the lecture slides, the transcripts of YouTube videos that I use as recommended materials, the text from linked web pages, the academic papers I referenced, and I also included an AI-generated text transcripts of the audio recordings of all my face-to-face lectures. Turns out I spoke over 150,000 words in those 12 weeks of lectures. Anyway, the fine-tuning was updated weekly and incrementally with that week's content. And what that ensured was that the answers that the students were getting would not be confusing by including future material which hadn't at that point been covered. I hosted this on the agenthost.ai platform, where students were able to access a student support system that answered their queries on the course content. The way the prompt engineering was done was that it ensured that not only the questions about course content were answered. So if students asked for recipes for marmalade, for example, it would say that's out of bounds. And the students also knew that their identities were anonymized, so they could ask the dumbest questions that they would not have asked either myself or the teaching assistant. The only thing that was logged from their interactions was their questions and the system responses. I found that students asked a variety of questions ranging from what is a p-value and how do I use the VLOOKUP command in Excel to what data visualization techniques should I use for numbers and how do I find missing values in a dataset using linear regression. So a variety of questions. From the log files, I could see that these questions sometimes led to meaningful conversations between the student and the online system. And impressively, they asked questions both in English and a couple of times in French. Over the semester, a total of 2,787 questions were asked by the 142 students, and they were answered with a spike of 730 questions asked on the 24 hours just before the written exam. And that indicated a high level of engagement, but also reliance on the tool for any last-minute exam preparations and cramming. I manually checked 700 of the questions and answers, and I found there were no errors in the responses, which points to the quality of the fine-tuning materials and the directions given to the LLM from the prompt engineering. The feedback from the students was overwhelmingly positive, with students indicating that the AI was more helpful than lectures, which says a lot. It was easier to understand than Loop, and was the most helpful of resources for the module. They didn't always trust the system, however, and they did feel the need to check back to the original course materials, and that was comforting. Students suggested improvements, such as incorporating answers to past exam questions and enhancing responses with visualizations and graphics rather than just text. Finally, when they were asked whether they would recommend this resource to other students and to other modules, an overwhelming 81 students said yes, with just one of them saying no. And I like to think that that student just clicked on the wrong button. In summary, using a fine-tuned, prompt-engineered large language model as a support tool provided personalized responsive assistance that the students found valuable. And this not only enhanced their learning experience, but it also made the course content much more accessible and engaging for them. The teaching assistant for the module was not made redundant, And in fact, he found that the quality of the lab sessions were improved because the students were asking better questions of him than they would have otherwise. Since that pilot, which ran in early 2024, our school is deploying this to multiple other modules here in DCU. And from sharing this experience, my experience with colleagues elsewhere, my understanding is that some variant of this will run in Trinity, in UCD and in Maynooth University. Thanks for watching.